Hi, it's Alaska Granny. Look no further than the latest catastrophe, weather event, or strike that's going on in our world, and you can find out what panic buying is. What are the items that disappear first? We know that most people aren't prepared even for an inconvenience, let alone for a disaster. And so when disaster strikes, people panic. You can count on people panicking, which leads to panic buying because they don't think anything could ever happen, so they don't prepare to take care of themselves. Then when disaster strikes, they rush to the store, crazy panicking, clearing the shelves. I remember when the pandemic started and I went to the store and there were people in there just going with their arms and swooping all of the cough syrup, all of the laundry detergent. They were just panic buying everything off of the shelf. They weren't even planning on what they're going to do with some of these things, I suppose, because I saw one lady take the entire shelf of jelly. How much jelly could you really use? But I guess people just weren't thinking straight. They were just thinking, get something, get something. So let's think about what are the items that do disappear first, and one of them is food. All of the fresh food, it just disappears. The canned food can also disappear next, because it's easy to prepare. And so those are the types of foods that's easy for us to put aside in our prepper pantry and our food storage stockpile so that we have some food on hand. When you're choosing canned foods and packaged foods, choose foods that you actually enjoy eating, that you know what to do with it. Don't just grab, say, Spam, because people say, oh, Spam, that's the best prepper food there is. In an emergency type situation, do you really want to start eating food that you're not familiar with? Or would you rather reach for foods you're familiar with, you enjoy eating, you know how to prepare? Don't wait for an emergency to figure out what are those foods that I have and how do I even actually use them? So that's one of the things that I try to do is use, rotate, and replace those foods on a regular basis. Not every day. I don't eat canned food every day, but I try to make meals with those foods at least once a week, just so that I can keep rotating the food. I know what I have and I know how to use it. And then it's something that I'm familiar with. And if something happened that I had to stay home and just eat canned food for a week, I would be perfectly happy to do that because I know how to make meals out of my pantry. And that should be the kind of a goal that we want, that if something happens, you don't have to go out to the store. You don't have to go where people are panicking and stripping the shelves and fighting in the parking lot or any of that. You don't have to endanger your safety because you don't have the basic necessities. Prepping is about behavior. Don't be prepping out of fear. Be prepping out of a desire for independence, that if something happens, I can independently take care of myself. I have the things I need. I thought about what kind of catastrophes could affect my life. What could happen in my area? Am I likely to have volcanoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, winter storms? Figure out what is most likely to happen where you live. What are the events that have interfered with your day-to-day life in the last decade or two? And then how did you deal with those situations? We've all gone through hardships, and so we know we got through it, so we know how to be better prepared in the future. When the pandemic started, I had a friend with no toilet paper, I had a friend with no food in the house, and I was able to share with them. But then I've looked over time, how are they responding now? And I realized they didn't learn from that because they still don't have an extra roll of toilet paper. They still don't have any food in the house. And so now I have made a note of that I helped you and I tried to share that information with you. But if you don't choose to take care of yourself, sorry, next time I'm not going to be available to help you. I need to help myself, my own family, and maybe somebody else that didn't have the opportunity to be prepared because they didn't know better. People show you who they are. Who do you know you can count on, who can be there for you, and who are you willing to be there for? And that's the kind of people that we want to trust and help and team up with in an emergency situation. Besides foods, in an emergency situation, water disappears. And I know a few summers ago, they had so many tragic, horrible, huge forest fires, and there was no water in the stores, there was no Gatorade or sports drinks, because all of it was going to the firefighters, which is fair, it should be that way. And that's a reason to realize that you need to have water on hand. It may not always be available. The water can stop running in your home at any moment, and then you need to be able to deal with it. We don't know what could happen, but we know what we want, what we need, and we can make lists of those things and have them. If you have babies or small children, have you provided the extra formula for them? I know that's one of the problems that happens in an emergency situation, that even if you're a nursing mother, if you can't get enough food and water for yourself, you can't produce the milk for your baby, and then you need to have formula or something, some sustenance for your baby. So have it on hand, even if it isn't something you count on using, because can you imagine anything worse than you have nothing to feed your baby? It just gives me the shivers. Make sure you also have enough diapers and wipes, along with toilet paper for the other people in your family. Nobody wants to go without that. Try to make a reasonable expectation about how much toilet paper you actually would need to store. I figure for my family, it's at least 1 roll per person per week. But that has to be those big jumbo rolls, not those little baby rolls. And if you just keep track of how many rolls you use in your home over, say, a week, then you can figure out how many should I store, how many is reasonable. Because to me, love means never running out of toilet paper. That's been something that I've always believed in my life, always. And fortunately, everyone in my family has also believed the same thing. When you're shopping for your prepping supplies, figure out, you want to provide things that you know you will use. Don't just stock up on random emergency survival or hiking gear. Figure out, what could you really use? Do you know how to use it? And then plan to have that in your prepping stockpile. We do need to have some tools. We probably need some outdoor gear. We need also ways to filter water, to cook our food, to have light if there is no electricity. We need to have heat or even cooling. Figure out how to stay cool. There are a lot of things that we enjoy having, but we don't have to feel that we must have them. And everything you think you must have, that's what you want to have in your prepping stockpile. Things that you use, you enjoy, and keep your life running smoothly. That's the whole point. You want to prepare like a pessimist, but live like an optimist. And that's how you make the best of every single day. Let us know in the comments below, what items do you think disappear first when panic buying breaks out? And do you have enough of those items in your home that you can safely shelter in place if an emergency happens in your area? We all want to be as safe and thrive in our lives the best we can, and being prepared allows that to happen. I hope you'll like my video, share it, and please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.